your probability of getting placed is a multiplication of three things.
And again, a practical problem with new age business schools is that parents feel, students feel there is no degree. How do you want to sort of counter that mindset?
This is after a point. For example, currently my company is clocking around 1 CR revenue. After a point, you will start feeling maybe you're not capable enough to push it to say how to convert it to a 10 CR company, 100 CR company, and then a 1000 CR company.
So first of all, how is it like being the curriculum and dealing with subjects and all of that?
All that is going great here, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So what's not going well?
What's not going well?
Welcome to the Strategy for GMAT channel. My name is Manan Puri and I'm the co-founder of Strategy for GMAT and Dream Compass. Over the last few years, management education in India has transformed a bit. There are a number of new age business schools that have not only democratized business education but have expanded the market for business education. One such school that started last year is the Scalar School of Business. Scalar, after starting the Scalar School of Technology, have started SSB, with which they aim to bring business and technology under one roof. Will they be able to become the next Stanford or next MIT Sloan with this endeavor? We will soon find out. Today, I am in the Silicon Valley of Bangalore. Thankfully, the traffic gods have been kind to me, and of course, the weather is great. I am at the Scalar School of Business campus today, where I'll be talking to their faculty, a number of students, program head, and finding out how has the experience been so far, and more importantly, what is the vision for the future. So this will be my day at SSB. Let's find out what's in store. So right now I'm sitting with Vidit, who is heading strategy for Scalar as a whole. One of the founding team members of Scalar School of Business, obviously, and the vision behind that, more importantly, the challenges they are facing, and why should any student join, are the things that we're going to cover. So thank you so much, Vidit, for joining. Let's have a quick introduction for the audience.
Sure. So, as you know, my name is Vidit. I lead strategy at Scalar. Prior to Scalar, I have spent about, I would say, 8 years in strategy and consulting roles. The first stint was with McKinsey, where I spent 5 years. Started as a junior analyst and scaled up to a senior engagement manager. But it was a great experience. And now I have been in startup ecosystem for last 3 years. Primarily do two things. One is 0 to 1 of new projects. SSB or Scalar School of Business is one such project. And optimization of existing businesses. I derive a lot of my learnings from the consulting skill that I read. All of this, by the way, is after my MBA from ISB Hyderabad.
So, Scalar School of Technology has been around for some time, and social media conjecture, a lot of Gen Zs are speaking, okay, tech is the and be all of everything, and management education does not matter, startup versus MBA, there is always this, conjecture that is going around. So what made, you guys start something like this right across, in the same building?
Sure. So, let me just share the vision of Scalar first, and then we'll talk about the sequence of events. So the reason Scalar was started is because education in India has really not seen any transformation for a couple of decades. And as you start up, right, any company, you would always have a GTM where you do start with one product. Yeah. So tech just happened to be a product that started as the first product for Scalar. Yeah. And the reason was simple. Tech education is more objective. Mm-hmm. For example, you want to get people placed in back-end engineering, front-end engineering, or DevOps, right? There is a very clear set of objectives that you can deliver, which would be a checklist, right? Okay, you have to learn 4 languages. You should be able to do XYZ projects. So it's very objective. And we were able to actually craft an amazing curriculum around it and guide right people and right companies to hire. So this is the reason you basically see tech as the basis of formation of Scalar. But overall, the company vision has always been that we want to transform education. And if you look at any business, at the end of the day, any company, you would have technical folks. And you would have, let's say, at a high global term, which is business folks, which is marketing, sales, product, strategy for that matter, right? Now, after stabilizing the online business as well as the offline business on the tech front, we decided now we are positioned to actually diversify further and actually launch a business program. Because at the end of the day, our vision is that people from Scalar should eventually build companies. And when you want to build companies, you need both business acumen as well as technical acumen. And so that's basically the reason we started Scalar School of Business. And interestingly, by the way, as you ask me that why just opposite in the same campus to Scalar School of Technology is ingrained in one of the pillars, right? At the end of the day, if I ask you, right, if you want to start up tomorrow, what's the biggest constraint? Right? You will have a lot of ideas, right? Swimming around the mind, but at the end of the day, you will get constrained. How do I convert this idea into a product? And what better way, right, than to network with people who are actually technologists right across the street from you and build it together, right? So this is where business and tech come together at Scalar.
Interesting. And there has been a lot of talk around new age business schools coming up. There is of course that traditional route of ISB, IIMs around, and over the past 3-4 years, new age business schools have come up. The first question is, how do you see the trend shaping up going forward, and where do you see Scalar playing that part in this new age management education?
Sure. So the way I look at any change in the industry, whether it's edtech or let's say e-commerce, right? It's primarily linked to, is anybody solving for any particular problem that exists? All right. Let me give you 2 examples. One is, let's say we talk about the Airbnbs of the world, right? Hotels existed all over the world, but there was a way to optimize, and that's when Airbnb launched, right? They don't own anything, but they are one of the biggest hospitality companies now in the globe, right? Similarly, if you let's say talk about e-commerce, there was Myntra's, Amazon's of the world already, right? Flipkart already. They were not able to deliver fast. And obviously they would have done a lot of optimization at their end, right? Tried to. They don't necessarily want to deliver in 3 days, right? But they couldn't. All right. Nobody wants to delay things, right? On their own accord. But the likes of Zepto and Blinkit have redefined it, right? So there would always be need of people to change the current status quo. If we think of education, obviously people don't point fingers, right? If you change anything which is non-educational in nature. Given education has been very, very sensitive topic, if you want to change something, people will start getting nervous, right? But let me point out the challenges in education system. I am an ISB grad myself, right? I owe my success to ISB. Did I learn a lot? Yes. Was it enough? No. And this is where problem starts. I attended roughly 300 plus classes during my stint of 1 year at ISB. The number of people who came outside the faculty ecosystem was 0. Now, imagine you have learned a lot, right? And you go to your job and you don't understand how different team works. You don't understand the latest tools that companies are using. For example, Notion to Jira, right? You don't understand the business problem statements, right? Because your case studies were literally 20 years old. Which means when you start, you are actually taking 3 to 6 months to ramp up. Now you understand the concept of probation period, right? It's again a sensitive topic. But people are judging you within the first 3 months of your career. Imagine if you're ramping up instead of delivering, you would face a lot of hard time, right? To stand out of the crowd. So the entire thesis of building a college, which is solving for these practical aspects of a business education, is where Scalar School of Business comes into, right? So that's the way I look at any new change in any sector.
Right. And a lot of these schools are also innovating. But given the fact, you mentioned about ISB, IIMs, of course, are there. So who do you consider competition at this stage for a candidate, right, who's looking to apply for management education? Where should they see Scalar? What kind of students should come in? And more importantly, again, what should be the consideration set wide, and then Scalar is a part of it?
Sure. So while it could be subjective, but at least I'll give my perspective if I were a student, right? So let's look at the colleges in India. So you have IIM ABCs. We can add, let's say, a couple of more in Lucknow and Kozhikode in it. And you have ISB. Then you have all the other colleges which are tier 2 colleges plus the baby IIMs. And then you have the crowd, right, which let's say 40,000-50,000 colleges, I'm presuming. Beyond this, what you also have now are new age MBA colleges like Scalar School of Business, MESA, Masters Union. When I think of anybody applying to Scalar School of Business, I believe at the moment it is very difficult, right, to really persuade people to leave Blackie, right, as they call it, and join us. But if we think of Baby IIMs or any other college out there, we definitely have the set of value adds that any candidate would want to have in their career. And I'll touch upon it. And then I'll talk about the new age business schools, right? So at the end of the day, what do you want from a college? You want a good job. There is no two way around it, right? Everybody in India wants placement. But I also believe if you think of long term, right? If you move beyond a P&L mindset, which is job, to a balance sheet mindset, right? Which is, let's say, skilling yourself to be able to get whatever job you want. You want to upskill yourself, right? And this is where we differentiate ourselves primarily from everybody else while giving jobs, right? The delta between the top IIMs and us today would be, let's say, we might not be able to attract the top 1%, top 2% recruiters today, while they hire from our online programs. For example, even Bain, McKinsey, Google, Microsoft, all of them, right, come and hire from our online programs for tech. But it's possible that we take a couple of iterations to convince them to also hire for the business program. But apart from this, right, every other company would be more than happy, right, to join us in the placement drives. Now, given we have already covered Baby IIMs and everybody else, right, let's talk about the new age business schools. The good part about new age business schools is they are actually expanding the pie. You cannot operate in a new environment with just one single operating person, right? Monopoly would happen later, okay? If you want to expand your own revenue, the market needs to expand. And I personally welcome every new age business school because they are validating our thesis at the end of the day, right? Now, if I compare myself to, let's say, Masters Union or MESA, as you asked me to do, I believe a person has to look at the specialization or let's say the value add that these colleges are providing. For example, MESA currently primarily focuses on you getting placed in a startup. And that's their value add, that's their USP. If we look at Masters Union, it's a mix of startups as well as technology orientation, right? It's PGP in business and technology. The way we look at Scalar School of Business is definitely you have tech spike. Why? Because we have actually delivered tech courses for the last 10 years, right? We want to make you a 10x marketeer, a 10x product person, a 10x salesperson, all right? At the same time, given the bandwidth of, the plethora of companies, 1200 companies, not just startups by the way, the biggest names globally come and hire from us. So you want to give student exposure to every company out there and get the placement that they want, right? So this is the way at least I would think of going into a new age business school and deciding between which one to choose.
Right. So when you're talking about placements, right? So does SSB want to be known as a product heavy school, consulting heavy school, or a sales heavy school? Because eventually, like you said, right, everybody eventually transitions to their niche. So what's the vision there?
Honestly, we don't want to get siloed into a very niche domain today. Because one of the reasons that we started this school is that we want to keep the flexibility and operate with industry demands. So there is no point of, let's say, I specialize in Gen AI today, when it's possible that 3 years down the line, there is new technology or new requirement of a business need that comes out there, right? So the way we want to operate is whatever are the latest and greatest needs of modern businesses, we would re-engineer our curriculum to suit that problem statement. At the end of the day, what we want to deliver is the greatest business minds out there.
And again, a practical problem with new age business schools is that parents feel, students feel there is no degree. Right? It's either a certification from a private company like Scalar, for instance, right? So how do you want to sort of counter that mindset? I call it a mindset because I also feel that it doesn't matter so much, but it still is out there, right?
So let's look at the need for degree first. If we look at undergrad programs, and we also have an undergrad program, right? So their degree becomes important primarily because there are a lot of government documents that require you to have a degree. For example, passport. One of the requirements for you to get a passport is you have to have an undergrad degree. Okay, they will not give you a passport without it. You will have to have a different stamp that you are not a skilled individual. Okay, which by the way restricts your motion to different countries. So we have partnered with BITS, IIT Madras to provide those degrees. Now let's talk about PGP program, or business program, which is postgrad. Can we do the same? Yes. Do we need? No. Because at the end of the day, when you think of a degree, right, it is coming with a lot of baggage. It comes with the baggage of what can you teach, how can you teach, who can teach. And this is where a lot of unfortunate red tape happens, right? You have to go through a lot of lengthy processes to be able to actually start teaching something. And by the way, this is the reason, if you look at any IIM, their new age courses, as they call it, right, are all certificate courses. There is no product management degree. Why? Because there is no PhD. And given there is no PhD, there is no professor. And there is no professor, so they cannot teach, and hence there is no degree. Right? So one of the constraints in a degree program is that there is a professor with PhD who has to teach, right? And one interesting bit is that colleges like ISB, and I am an ISB grad, also don't give any degree. But nobody is complaining, right? I am successful, I have a job. The only mindset, as you called it, is that people don't recognize Scalar. But what they need to figure out is that we are not a new company. The Scalar School of Business is new, but we have been around for a decade, which is more than enough for people to start trusting. So that's the way I would suggest people to change their mindset.
Again, continuing on the placement discussion, right? So there is a lot of, of course, industry professionals coming in and teaching courses, right? For placement preparation, what are the kind of things that you're doing? And given that it's the first batch, right? So what kind of financial outcomes, if you are able to, have a financial number that you can give us, can the students expect here?
Sure. So let's take one question at a time. Let's talk about placement. And I actually look at it as a formula. So your probability of getting placed is a multiplication of three things. The first is there should be enough companies coming to hire. So a pool of companies. The second factor in this multiplication is your own skills, which actually allows you to convert that interview into a job. And the third element in this formula is your profile, which is your resume at the end of the day, right? Which allows you to get shortlisted for an interview, all right? So companies has to come, you have to get shortlisted, and then you have to convert, all right? This is the formula. And now let's talk about how do we tackle these three at Scalar School of Business. On the getting shortlisted bit to begin with, how do you get shortlisted? If you have enough elements in your resume to showcase that you have the intent to grow, right? So, or simply put, growth mindset. So we have a lot of activities that students can do and build their profile. You can participate in internal and external case competitions. You will have industry source projects, which are, let's say, 4 to 5 weeks projects that you can do and actually gain an external validation, right, from a company, and also build your skills. You will have internships with well-reputed companies. You will have industry immersions where you will get mentored by people from industry, right? I believe a combination of all of this is going to build a healthy profile for you. And by the way, if you are academically inclined, you should opt for a good GPA, right, at the end of the day.
That never hurts.
That never hurts, right? So this is how you can actually build your profile and get shortlisted. Now coming to actually doing a good job in the interview. So the entire curriculum, if you go through the curriculum, is anchored on giving you a good mix of theory and practicals, right? Theory is important because you still need to learn your ABCDs. Practical is important for you to learn the articulation, right? Sentence formation, for example. If I have to just give a simple corollary, right, and parallel to begin with. Now, the way we are delivering is by getting the right mix of faculty. Okay. For theoretical concepts, we have people coming from IIM ABC and teaching you, which is better than any baby IIMs, by the way, right? And any other college out there. Now, in terms of the industry integration, we have people coming in from industry to teach you real things like product management is taught by a director of product who has worked at InMobi and Coinbase, right? So somebody coming with a global experience of product development. We have communication being taught by somebody who's actually a partner at one of the consulting firms. We have statistics being taught by somebody who has actually coming from a background of ISI, but also implementing it in one of the companies, right? So they are able to teach you how real things work on ground. So this is basically essentially how we build your skills and your ability to do a good job in an interview. And finally, in terms of sourcing the companies, we have already talked about it. We have over 1,200 active, by the way, is the keyword, companies who come and hire from us. We roughly place 5,000 students every year. When we talk about Skill School of Business, it's just 1%, right? 55 students in the founding cohort. And we don't want to also increase the size in the next cohort, right? We would probably have around 75 students. So yeah, that's the formula. I hope people get clarity with this. Now coming to the second bit, which is numbers, right? So let me give you where we are currently. So we are only in the 4th month of the program. So placements have not happened. Yes. Even internships will happen after 8 months from now. But if we look at what has worked for us historically, right, what the number historically for other batches, other programs, so we have about 25 lakhs of average CTC for the people going through the technical programs, which are primary online. All right. Now, if we compare business roles, typically business roles from an MBA grad perspective would lie almost similar in terms of CTC range for the technical roles, because tech is one of the most high paying jobs, right? But next just to tech would be your product and business roles, whether it's marketing, sales, founder's office. So I believe if I have to basically gun to my head, right, where can they expect their average CTC to be? I would say it's in the same range, 22 to 25 lakhs. But that being said, it's a factor of when placements actually happen. Absolutely. So it's a hypothetical number which is derived from historical data that we have. All right. It's not something which has already happened. The founding cohort will get placed 8 months from now.
Yeah. Oh, fair. I mean, I do appreciate the candor and the vision that you have, and not a lot of people would talk about numbers so early in the process. So yes, of course, not holding you onto it. A 10% here and there obviously will not, break the bank that way. Great. Any final thoughts for somebody who is looking at the next cohort? More importantly, why should somebody join and why should somebody not join Scalar?
See, the way I look at it is, do you want to be working at NASA versus you want to be working at SpaceX? Right? So if you look at this theory, at the end of the day, are you a person who's willing to take risk for a higher ROI? Or do you want to basically just put your money in an FD, right? And people will exist on both sides of spectrum. Yeah. So it might not be a good fit for a person who's very conservative, but it would be a very great fit for a person who's willing to bet on themselves. Yeah. So if you are a person who's willing to break the old chains, right, of just getting into the usual run-of-the-mill colleges, and you're willing to actually trust a brand which exists for the last decade, you can trust the leaders who are driving it. It's a great college to be in. And if you're willing to pivot from your existing domain, it's a great choice. If you want to grow in an accelerated manner within your current domain, let's say you want to become a marketing head, right? I mean, currently you are a marketing executive. Again, a business school like ours is a great choice. And finally, because we couldn't really cover it earlier, if you want to build something, right, it's an amazing place. We have an amazing ecosystem. You will get coached on how to ideate. You will get a team which is a combination of business team and technical leads, to build your product, you will get funded from Scalar Foundation, right, to actually do the GTM of your 0 to 1 journey. And you will actually pitch your ideas to the biggest VCs in India and globally to eventually get a shot at raising money for your own startups. So imagine an ecosystem just like a Y Combinator, which exists within a business school, right? So yeah, that's my advice, right, or pitch to people.
Great. Thank you so much, Vidit, for taking out time and really, appreciate the candor and the vision that you have for it, for the school. So all the best for it. It's a tough market out there, but I'm sure, you guys will crack it.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Hi, so I'm with a bunch of students here from different backgrounds. I wanted to talk about how their experience has been so far, and more importantly, why did they choose Scalar and not any other B school for their management education. So first of all, thank you guys for taking out time. I know it's busy, it's hectic, and a lot of hustle projects, etc. going on. So thank you so much. So let's start with a quick introduction. From where's your background, did you come from, which cities, what kind of education you had, and all of that. So let's start with you, Akash.
Sure. So my name is Akash Sharma, and my hometown is Gorakhpur, which is in Uttar Pradesh. So I graduated from HBTO Kanpur in year 2020, and then I joined Global Logic, worked over there for almost 1.5 years as an associate software engineer, and then I joined Uber, worked there for almost 2.5 years as a data analyst, senior data analyst, and then last year I joined Scalar.
I'm Sarosha. So I have a psychology background, and I'm from Bangalore itself. Have a master's in psychology, and I have a 1-year experience in DI as well as L&D at Toyota and Accuril as well.
Hi, Manan, I'm Ashish here, and I come from a city called Mangalore, the beach city of Karnataka, and so I come from a background of entrepreneurship. I run my own startup since around 5 years now, but then still I now have a different perspective about why MBA, but so that's why I'm here pursuing that perspective.
Okay, interesting. So you are still running a startup?
Yeah, I'm still
being in
continuing.
college.
My co-founders are taking it over, and I also contribute 5 to 6 hours on a daily basis.
So 5 to 6 hours here and 26 hours of your MBA education. Okay, so that's very uncanny, right? Because it's always about startup versus MBA. It's
Correct.
not both together. So
Correct.
how has the experience been so far in terms of mingling both the worlds here?
I understand. See, like you said, startup gives a lot of learning, especially in the business aspect. But when you're trying to do it completely bootstrapped, my company is completely bootstrapped, and that too from a tier 2 city like Mangalore and not Bangalore. So the whole challenge that you'll have to end up facing as a founder is, I don't know how many founders will be able to resonate with this, is after a point, for example, currently my company is clocking around 1 CR revenue. After a point, you will start feeling maybe you're not capable enough to push it to say how to convert it to a 10 CR company, 100 CR company, and then a 1000 CR company, right? So coming from that engineering background, that bigger perspective of business coming from maybe that small city is a challenge that I've ended up facing. And deep within that, ambition to do an MBA was always there. That did not die, even though it was 6 years later. So that's when I started preparing for CAT, and then got to know about Scalar. Actually saying the whole convincing point for me was this was a place that was allowing me to balance both, honestly saying, right? And I'm able to work for my company, balance the academics, because academics is where the most of the learning happens, like any MBA school. So it has been that mixture of both. This place has allowed me to do that.
Okay. Flexibility is one, and then
Totally,
of course the kind of people that are coming in. And you're coming from a psychology background. So first of all, how has it like been, the curriculum and dealing with subjects and all of that?
Right. So the thing is, since I come from an arts background, right, psychology in specific, I was kind of intimidated at first because it's finance, then tech as well, right? Yeah. But then the faculty members, right, they've explained each and every subject so easily and simple that even I'm able to understand, right? So I did not face any, after a certain point, my mindset itself changed about technology. It was like, okay, even I can understand this. So in that way, yeah, the faculty was really helpful, and we also have something known as Hustle, right? So we're building something similar in the tech space itself.
Okay.
I wouldn't have ever thought that I would build something in the tech space. So it's basically AI ads.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a really eye-opening and something different that I'm trying here.
Okay, and you didn't choose to do like, go into the field of psychology, but transition to the capitalistic world of business. So why was that?
But right, but I think that psychology is like an umbrella, not a job, like umbrella career. I would say it's like it's applicable everywhere, right? So even in business, I can get that psychology perspective. At the end of the day, you are dealing with money, but also people.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like contradicting, but I think it helps me more.
Okay, interesting. And you talked about faculty coming in from outside, etc. So just give me a lowdown on what sort of people are coming in.
Yeah, sure. So for the faculties, so product 101, right? It was taken by Kanishk, who is already a product manager. Right now, he's a product manager at Coinbase. Earlier, he's worked with Glance and Make My Trip. Right. So we are getting like a real perspective. Okay, what are the key metrics they look on, and how the product manager actually work. We also has a workshop for create a wireframe on Figma. We also had a workshop on Tableau. So we are covering like each and every aspect of what actually you have to do as when you go out in the industry and you handle the position as a manager. Apart from that, we also get like some fireside chat with different leaders and CXO. So like last week we had Drone Kanish, who is an associate partner at McKinsey.
Okay.
So we talk about the McKinsey strategy consulting and what it looks like, and he's been with McKinsey for almost 8 years.
Okay.
So he showed a perspective, right? There are so many people who is aspiring for those roles. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to get like the real insights from those leaders.
Right. And how has the, because in the traditional B school, a lot of engineers come in and they really, really struggle with finance and accounting courses, right? So how has your experience been with specifically those courses?
No, that is very true. I've also come from the engineering background, and I'm also sort of find finance very difficult. But the professor over here has been like teaching so good, right? All those problems and the way he teach to us, it's really very interactive. And we have like a doubt session. He also gave us the pre-read material and all.
And given that it's a campus, yes, but you're living elsewhere. So what do you guys do for fun?
I think first of all, a lot of things is there, right? One, beyond academics, we have a lot of these case comms that we have, where solving real problem, and especially solving it, these bunch of folks, we form teams, and then solving that itself is fun. And we have these lot of club activities going on. Okay. For example, I lead the entrepreneurship club here at Scalar. So we are now conducting an event where, for the hustle ideas, there are certain products that are relevant to Valentine's Day. Okay. One is a student named Dhruvin who is making London chocolate, which is basically strawberries in homemade chocolates, melted chocolate. And we have another team that's making premium scented candles. Okay. Right? So to celebrate these entrepreneurs, what we have done is we have asked all the classmates to form teams of 3. Even we have kept it open for SST undergrads also, where they have to negotiate with the vendors for a good wholesale price and buy the product from them and go to the streets and sell all this, right? Yeah. So if not only that, it's just academics, but there's a good mixture of the college events itself giving a lot of fun. Other than that, there are sports events happening. We have a series of dodgeball events, basketball, cricket. A lot of things are going on.
Spotlight cultural events.
Okay. So you talked about hustle. I initially thought hustle is about synonymous with Bangalore and all of that. So hustle is like an initiative, and what all is covered in that?
So mostly Hustle is like a in-school startup building program, where we have to form teams and try and build our own product. So initially, the first 12 months, how it's going is, so we have a mentor, super mentor who has worked in Sequoia Capital, who is now trying to build his own startup. So with his mentorship, we are trying to come up with different problem solving statements, right? For example, in my case, we are trying to build a brand called Furpet, which is a combination of hardware and software device, and trying to become like an Apple Watch for dogs. Okay. So so that all the dog parents, it's a thing now that they're parents anymore, not dog owners, so that they can be not having any kind of anxiety. Everything about the dog's well-being is there in your phone screen, right? So things like these, like I told you, candle, it could be the London strawberry team, and then Akash is also trying to build something really creative. I think you should hear it from him.
So basically we are building we have named this Donna. It's basically a personal AI assistant, right? So it's also a combination of software and hardware, which the hardware will stick to your phone and it will like listen to all the conversation and sort of summarize, right? And
Okay.
it will create a MOM and which you can share with your colleagues and with your friends as well. So this is something which we are working on. We are also collaborating with SST students for the
Okay.
software part, and we are putting like our business strategy, how we are going to do like GTM and launch the product. So probably by next month we'll be able to done with the MVP and we'll launch soon for the consumers.
Make sure the Suits cast or those producers don't file for trademark infringement. And now that you guys are the first batch, right? I'm sure there'll be initial teething issues happening and all of that. So what's not working well? I think everything else was great till now. So what is not working well?
I think one only thing we are missing out is more students here. We're really waiting for the next cohort, right? So it's just 55 of us, but that partially is also fulfilled by SST folks, right? So when we say, that's why I told you, when Entrepreneurship Club is doing events, we pull in
Invite
all
them.
the
Makes
students
sense.
that we have. I think other than that, in terms of curriculum, everything is spot on, right? Whatever, like Sarosha was telling, faculties from top-notch colleges are coming, faculties from industries are also coming. So in terms of learning, it's exactly what was, at least for me, it was exactly what I was looking for, and in terms of the space and breathing space that I wanted. Like, looking for more students at SSB, really excited for the next
all of
cohort.
you need more people around.
Right.
That's it. Okay. Cool. So thank you so much, guys, for taking our time. I think this was fun. Any final comments for the future students that you really, really want to be, seeing here?
I think you want
We'll give it to the president.
No, I think if you're planning to either pivot your career even or if you want to start your journey, right, build your own startup, I think it's a really good place to hang around with the with the SST students. You can get like a lot of tech support. There are already people from MBBs who can help you with if you want to pivot
Thinking
to a strategy
strategy,
role
yeah.
and create a strategy for your business.
Even
So
in terms of networking, you meet a lot of people from different backgrounds. And if you want to like step out of your comfort zone as well, I think this is the right place for you.
Okay. And who should not join?
If you're
if you're not a hustler.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much. Good talking to you guys, and I'll let you guys go back to the classroom now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
you.
much.
So we just talked about Donna, and that piqued my interest because I loved Suits and of course Donna's character, and I wanted to go deep into what these guys are doing with Donna. So I am with the team here. They will be obviously talking about their journey, where they are, and more importantly, how Scalar is helping them build this product. So Haris, what is the journey like? Like, how did you come up with the idea? Inspired by Suits or not?
I would say sort of. So the way we came up with this idea was pretty interesting, right? Initially, when we formed as a hustle team and we brainstormed on ideas, we came up with different pain points we had. And we were trying to execute those. Like, for example, I wanted to build something in edtech, Ayush wanted to do something in healthcare, and Akash wanted to do something in tech. But we were also seeing the feasibility and the attractiveness of each, right? And initially we thought of doing a hospital management system, like a frictionless kiosk that would help patients just instantly, skip the queues and get access to doctors. Then we did a lot of research, we spoke to doctors. What we realized was there was a need for that, but feasibility was pretty low given the background we had and credibility we had, right? That's when we were brainstorming. We were going on multiple ideas. I think at one point we were so frustrated that we wanted to just sell dates, kajus.
even mushrooms.
Yes, mushrooms as well.
Not like shrooms, right? So,
Not legal. And at the same time, we were having conversations with a lot of people, right? Like Scale Academy, who the team which sits there, we're talking to the tech team. We're talking to Abhimanyu Anshuman. And one of those conversations, I think we were having with Abhimanyu. I remember it was right there outside. So we were just having a normal brainstorming session, and he happened to use this device which was recording our conversations and summarizing, and it's not summarizing, synthesizing those notes, bringing the context of the conversation very crisply on his phone, right? And we thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, it was pretty direct, right? It was a no-brainer, but the kind of convenience it provided for somebody like Abhimanyu, who's going through multiple conversations throughout his day and kind of context switching he has, right? We realized that this is a problem. This is a pretty unique product, and that product wasn't from India. He got it as a gift from his friend, and we sort of tapped into that problem statement. We wanted to see what the problem it was solving. I think Ayush, you'd be able to add better on that, right?
You in the mic?
Yeah.
So the idea was quite relatable for all of us. Like people forget. If I'm gonna ask you 1 week back, what were the important meetings that you had all day? I think hardly 1 or 2 points we might be able to remember. So we thought that it's a good to impactful problem to solve. So that's why we started researching on it, and we came up with the idea of Down.
Okay. So, what sort of now support that you got from Scalar to build it, and where you guys are now with the product itself?
Yeah.
So while we were thinking and how to build the MVP, we came across SST students, and they actually helped us a lot in building our MVP. Starting from the hardware designing, so that there is 3D printer in our labs, which SST students use to build our MVP. It is very thin, so it's like they build what we want. And then for our software also, we got a huge support from the SST students. They were building our app, supporting us, and how can we make it better, more optimized. So these kinds of help really amp up our product.
Okay.
Like
MVP.
there's a 3D printer inside the institute. So we made our MVP with the help of SSA students inside that. So this is a small device.
Oh, that will
MVP.
be stuck into your phone.
Phone, yes.
Okay.
It can be sticked at the back of your phone.
Okay.
And it is actively listening to every conversation that you have throughout the day, and then summarizes it.
Okay. Very interesting. What about privacy concerns also?
It is controlled. We are using confidentiality to support it.
Okay.
So, yeah, we are
Very interesting. So, when's the plan to go to market with this now?
We are testing it out with our beta users. So around 10-12 are there. So once they find it like we are able to make that impact, then we'll surely go to the market.
I think one of the interesting part and hardest part of building this product is finding a right TG.
Yeah.
We have multiple facets that we could look upon, but rounding down onto one and finding the ideal ICP, right, is something we're still working on, and we're trying to figure it out.
Okay.
And I hope we get there soon, and then.
One more point to add is that there was one company, Neo Sapien, that went to Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So they are doing a similar, like how Anupam Mittal started supporting them. That was a quite big validation for us.
Interesting. Where, in terms of the financial support to build all of this, right? So, are you guys putting in your own money, or Scalar is helping you do that?
So, in terms of financial support, we need to have an idea that works, that is validated, right? That we have enough research and we've deep dived into the problem and provided a good use case of the product. And then we had a hustle day pitch on our campus.
Okay.
Where we had external judges, where we had to pitch them like a shark, like what happened in the Shark Tank pitch, and we raised certain amount.
Interesting. I'll leave you guys to it. Congratulations on taking this step, and all the best. Obviously, I do a lot of calls, as part of my role at Strategy for GMAT. So this would be very, very helpful. All right.
So now I am inside the SSB classroom. These guys have just finished up a class. Wanted to understand what are the activities and the things that they do outside of the classroom. Given that finance has been nerve-wracking and boring already. So very quickly introductions, and then we'll deep dive into the conversation. So let's start with you.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Akshat, and I had 2 years of work experience as a vehicle dynamics engineer. My last work was at Mercedes-Benz R&D.
Oh, nice.
Hi, I'm Yukti. I've had 1 year experience as a data management associate at a company called Prequin. It recently got acquired by BlackRock.
Nice.
Hi, my name is Mo, and previously I was working in my family business, that is a software firm, and we provide tally solutions for banks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Which part of the country?
Ghaziabad, Delhi NCR.
Delhi
Yeah.
NCR. Okay, you've come here. So why did you choose to join SSB?
So my aim was to go to foreign country and do masters in business analytics. While searching on Google, I came across Scalar School of Business, and then Scalar happened. The curriculum was so spectacular that it was almost similar to what I was getting in US. So I thought of applying it here, and then I got selected, and now I'm here. I basically just want to get right set of skills just to help scale up my own family business.
So full marks
Yeah.
to SSB's SEO, so that you could find them.
Yeah.
So what sort of activities happen outside of the classroom in terms of co-curricular, or a lot of schools have case competitions, they have internships, they have capstone projects and things like that. So what's happening here?
So recently, as we know, the Scalar campus has Scalar School of Business, Scalar Academy, and Scalar School of Technology. So the Scalar as a company, they hosted the Analytics Ascent, which was data analytics case comp. So it was a really great experience. So actually in the class, Suraj being our mentor, so he taught us completely, and that was the first time we got exposed to that. And that was really good enough that we could actually bag the first place.
Okay, interesting. So this was a Scalar organized competition, and you
But
guys.
even the outsiders were welcome.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
We've also been doing a lot of company source projects here. So to name a few, we had Miola come in with a marketing project, and then we had recently Revlytics, which was a GTM strategy case, and just this week, the beginning of this week, we had Stockgrow come in and conduct a stockathon. That was like a stocks hackathon, a 2-day trading hackathon. So we were given virtual cash and we were allowed to trade. So that was very exciting.
Okay. A lot of these things happen like in the latter part of the journey of B School. So good that you guys are starting already now.
And luckily, recently, I along with my teammate, we applied in IIM Calcutta. They recently organized a mock RBI case competition. So wherein we applied and we bagged the first prize there and got the cash prize. So that was something like we got the opportunity from being here.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. And in general, there is a bit of diversity that I saw,
Yeah.
talking to people here and all of that. So how do you, value or experience diversity in an environment like this?
So to start off, we have a wide range of people here, right? From different backgrounds with different work ethics and everything. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer learning that happens, be it through assignments or just daily talks. So that is one thing we value a lot, is the diversity we have within our cohort. Anything to add?
Yeah, so the diversity also brings in the people with different experiences, right? Like we've got a lot to learn with people who have 4-5 years plus of experience. Like me with 2+ year experience, I can see the difference, like what we are lacking and what they have really excelled at, and that will really help us in going forward.
Okay. Very interesting. And so, you talk about that, like there are study groups here, or is it more individual assignments, and how does it work?
So there's a mix of individual assignments as well as study group, the one with study group. So it will be mostly study group basis because in the workplace, it is similar to the workplace setting, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to collaborate and work, and we should just divide things, who is good at what and things of that sort.
And also that you might know about our Hustle project, that we are all working on our own businesses. So we have curriculum, we have courses wherein we are required to work on certain assignments that are related to our project itself. Like we had to build a lean canvas recently for our own project so that it can help us target our own customer segment. We can analyze which is our TG, which is what we have to do, what will be the solution and everything. So that lean canvas assignments, such assignments help us in our Hustle project as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So all that is going great here, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So what's not going well?
What's not going well?
I think we are not used to our this hectic schedule. So we are trying to cope up with that hectic schedule that we have. Like sometimes we have to do a shoot, or sometimes we have to do assignment, we have to do something, we have to meet management, we have to do case competition. So that is we are coping up with. So that is something that it is on our part that we are trying to do our best to cope up with the time management and everything.
I can't compensate you for the shoot, this one at least, but yes, thanks for pointing that out. Okay.
No, but I think we get a lot of good things from that as well. Like she mentioned, the schedule is more hectic. I agree. So we end up spending a lot of time on campus. It affects like, I'm not getting enough sleep and stuff. But I personally enjoy being on campus more. I get to talk to a lot of people. I get more things done when I'm on campus.
Yeah. What's not going well? Just the sleep. Just the
The
sleep.
sleep and the stress from doing everything. Because when you get opportunities, you want to do everything. So you're like, oh, I'm scrambling around to get
So
stuff.
is you and your batch like, struggling with FOMO or not?
Partly FOMO, partly also that, I will get to learn that
Yeah.
if I do this.
Okay. Which is also FOMO though. But yeah. What about you?
Okay. So the thing is, like, we have the hustle program, right? So each team is working at their own pace. The thing is, we feel like we are missing out on things because there was one set of pitch deck which happened, and now pitch which happened, investor pitch which happened, and now we are in the next round. So actually, we were so close to it, but at the last moment, we felt like things are not going in sync with what we thought. So we had to back out, and when we were present on that day, we felt really bad.
Okay. But happens as part of it's a learning process, right? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? So part of all the learning, as part of the B school buffet that is there. So great, thank you so much. Candid talk, and of course with your experiences. This shoot is over, so you can now move on to other things on campus. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I'm sitting with Adhiraj, who's the program head for SSB. We will be doing a deep dive into what exactly is the curriculum here, and of course the admissions process and how you should apply for the program. So thank you, Adhiraj, for joining us. Could you give a quick background about you and what brought you to SSB in the first place?
Sure. Great to meet you, Manan. Always great to meet a fellow ISB alum. About SSB and what drew me to SSB, right? I think I've done a bunch of things. I've had I'm 8 years into my career. Graduated from IIT Kanpur. Joined a hardcore investment management role. Didn't like it as much and wanted to pivot, and which is why I paid for a fairly expensive MBA at ISB. Graduated right in the middle of the pandemic. Ended up at BCG. Consulting roles were one of the most coveted roles post ISB. But ever since, I didn't last long in BCG and pivoted to founding my own startup in the K-12 education space. This was during the COVID, just post-COVID era, where a lot of K-12 tech startups are coming in. It was the flavor of that season. But generally, I found my home in the education space. After I wrapped up my startup, we couldn't take off beyond, when sort of the second vaccine came in and we couldn't take off as we expected. I pivoted to STOA, which is another alternate MBA program, led the program there. Was there for about 2.5 years, worked closely with over 1,000 students and impacted their lives positively. And then found something exciting happening at Scalar. Scalar has been in the tech upskilling space. They started their own physical school in 2023, the Scalar School of Technology. And another senior of mine with it from ISB again, he was looking out for people to lead this vertical, which is Scalar School of Business. So Scalar's first entry into a business program. Found this job exciting enough to sort of make the switch, and here I am.
You see, a lot of new age MBA programs have come up now. A lot of them have, talk about industry practitioners coming in teaching. So how is, SSB ensuring that it's not just a one-time or a, marketing gimmick versus every day you get into something industry specific?
Sure. Two-part answer to this. We don't promise that we only have industry practitioners coming in and teaching. And I strongly believe that not all courses are, best suited for industry practitioners as well. For example, our Marketing 101 course or our Financial Accounting 101 course or the Microeconomics course are all PhDs and, academics who teach at IIMs and the likes and teach. Having said that, the world is moving one way. You have, new technologies, products, tech coming in, and that's what Scalar pride itself in as well. And some of these courses, say an Intro to PM course or a business communication course, are best taught by senior leaders of product or people who have worked in consulting and know the art of structured communication. Now, I don't know about other B schools and what they promise. For us, we have a team of learning designers within our team who would work very closely with that person on the other side. So it's not as if they will bring in any of, any content of their choice or liking and deliver. And the school is not responsible for the delivery. So we would work with them, 4 to 6 weeks prior to the delivery date of the course, the first session of the course, and sort of work together because we have full view of the curriculum. We'd work together to say, okay, maybe an Uber example was covered in the context of microeconomics. We should cover a different example in context of product. So that we also have a 360-degree view of the curriculum. And then we ensure that they are delivering it to the best of their ability and we are iterating as per the students' feedback.
Right. I mean, you talk about, you don't know what new age MBA programs are doing, but they're competition, right? So and I have to ask this question because they are competition. So what's different in terms of the curriculum, what they are offering versus what yours?
Sure. I mean, luckily, this is not a winner-take-all market, right? 2.5 lakh people take the CAT every year. And these new age B schools, maybe in India, there are, say, 7 or 8 new age B schools, right? So the intake for these B schools may be less than 5,000 of the total 2.5 lakh CAT test takers. So I'd want us to be in the same consideration set as some of these other B schools. And then students should make their own choice. They should speak to alums. They should see who the faculty is, who are the people behind the program, how invested they have been in terms of delivering outcomes, who are the founders of these programs, who are the people who are delivering the program day in and day out. I mean, and the curriculum at some point, at least on the website, it would converge, right? But what matters is how much heart and how much soul are the people behind the program putting in your growth. And that can only come through primary research and not necessarily secondary research. So I would want students to do that on their own.
Right. So, I mean, there is, with the proximity to SST, right? So what kind of interactions do students have, or as part of the curriculum as well? There is technology embedding there. Right. How much of it actually happens?
Right. So one of our initial pitches, and when we were coming up with SSB, the idea was, can we become the Stanford of India? Now that's a lofty goal to keep, right? Stanford has built its name over so many years. But in some sense, we want to get there maybe in 5, 10, 15 years. And why Stanford stands for what it is the good amalgamation of business knowledge and technology. And that's the same thing that we aspire for our students. To give you a very practical example, every student from term 1 has been building their venture as part of the Hustle program. Now, the initial few months are around you validating your idea, you founding, forming a team with potential co-founders, you doing a pre-seed, pitch, understanding, after having understood the problems of potential customers, their pain points, and putting it together in a deck. But the next phase, once you've sort of received your grant, you'd want to build the product that you've promised, right? And that's where the SST students come in. Good thing is, it's very difficult in this market if you were to start up on your own to find a good CTO, right? It's one of the hardest challenges if you're starting up. Good thing is, we have a great bunch of enthusiastic tech people who want to contribute, who are curious about building products, who want to learn more about business, and who are, say, literally 10 feet away. We work out of the same premises. So out of the few teams that have incubated, almost, 3 of them are building AI and tech products, and they've been able to get 2 to 3 students as interns with the promise of future equity from the Scalar School of Technology, and they will lead the product development as the journey continues. Pretty interesting.
So that's on the course and curriculum part. Now let's talk admissions. So what is the process like? What are the stages that a potential applicant can look at?
Sure. The process is fairly simple. We wanted to keep our admission process as broad as possible. So it does not matter if you don't have a CAT score, a GMAT score, or a GRE score. If you have them and you're proud of those scores, feel free to submit those. But we have our own test, which is the Scalar Management Test, where you sort of take the test and then once you've completed the test, depending on your score, you sort of unlock the path to writing your own essays and telling your own story in the most compelling way. We have a team of people who will review each essay and shortlist you for the interviews. The interviews are taken by some of the Scalar leadership team, including myself, Vidit, Rahul, who's our CMO. And these will be typically interviews, consulting style, where we try and understand your problem-solving process and what is your level of business acumen, how well you articulate your thoughts. But B, also want to judge you for the person you are and what value will you bring to the cohort. So, and the aspiration there is to build as diverse a cohort as possible. And that each person, is adding significant value so that, the parts are greater, like the whole is greater than, the sum of the parts. So that's what we aspire for. In terms of selection rates and criteria, I think it's been highly selective. We had about 24,000 registrations on the website, people who filled an application form. 1,200 of them completed their essays and actually went through the process, and out of which we had a highly selective group of 55. So, the selection rate is around 4 to 5% if we benchmark it to the 1,200 applications.
Yeah, which is pretty tough to get into that way. So give me examples of a couple of personas, the kind of students you want out of these three, stages that is there.
Sure. So while we have a preference of people who come with experience, we are also open to, having exceptional freshers on our roster of, the next cohort. In the first cohort, we have 55 people. A lot of them have worked at global, scale startups such as Uber or Amazon. A few of them have worked at scale Indian startups, say DMart or Freshworks. A lot of them also come from prior consulting companies like KPMG and EY. And then, and that makes up about 80% of the cohort with a median experience of 2.8 years. There are 7 exceptional freshers also from the likes of IIT and IIIT. And they have shown some spike in their journey so far, whether it's the internship that they've done or startups that they've built or, general aptitude and liking towards solving business problems that we have had in the cohort. So we aspire to keep the ratio 80-20 in terms of experience versus freshers. But I think it's true for not just Scalar, but any other MBA. If you come with a little bit of experience, you'll be able to maximize your learnings from the program.
Sounds good. And who should not join Scalar?
Look, I think the traditional IIMs or ISB do a great job at getting you to conventionally great career outcomes, right? So if you want to be a consultant at an MBB firm, you want to, work at top IB like Avendus or, some of the top private equity funds. I think, hopefully maybe Scalar can get there and a lot of these new B schools can get there in the next few years. But I think the easiest path to get into some of these marquee names is through, clearing the CAT, getting into the top IIMs or, writing the GMAT, doing well and getting into ISB. So if that is your very narrow and, a North Star that you're looking at, that's a great outcome for you to have, but then perhaps you should consider some of these traditional institutes.
And is the vision to bring in international candidates as well eventually, or?
Sure. Let's focus. I mean, one of the gripes that I had with my ISB MBA is a lot of the cases that we did, and I don't know how it was in your time, were around Southwest Airlines or Disney or Apple, right? So even when you're truly doing an Indian MBA, you're learning a lot about US-centric firms, which are great firms to learn about. But, at some point you'd want to get people ready for the Indian ecosystem. So at this point, our students and our outcomes will largely be India focused. But, in the spirit of diversity and, us being a global brand, I foresee, in the next 5-10 years, we would want some international participation in our cohort as well.
Final question again on the vision. From 10 years from now, right, what would SSB look like?
Well, like we set the North Star as, we want to be the Stanford of India, and that's part of all our pitch decks. So if we are, 70-80% on our way to becoming the Stanford of India, I think that is the great outcome that we've achieved. India is a very placement-driven economy and, stats and all of those matter. But a truly great outcome that we aspire for, say in the next 2 to 3 years is, can we get a couple of startups incubated at Y Combinator or the likes? Or, are there people who sort of work on their hustle ideas and are actually able to raise money and, do well and scale those startups, and they come back to hire from Scalar sometime in the next 10 years. That will be
interesting. Very interesting. I mean, that would be a, feeling that you are proud of that, alma mater and the alumni. So great. Thank you so much, Adhiraj. All the best for the upcoming cohort and of course your 10-year vision. I'm looking forward to it, frankly. The ecosystem itself and players like you definitely have your back and rooting for you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind words.
Thank you. So this was my day at SSB. I loved interacting with the students, the leadership and the vision that they have for the school. Really appreciate that. I mean, the kind of stuff that they're working on, Donna for instance, or the real life hustle projects and the projects that they're working on with the companies is really, really great. What sets them apart from the new age MBA programs that have come in is one, definitely the focus on technology and the proximity to Scalar School of Technology. Them being part of the Bangalore ecosystem, which is thriving as always. The faculty and the industry practitioners can just, reach there in 2 hours, if not more. And more importantly, the leadership and the experience that they have with building Scalar as a brand over the last 10 years. The placement partners are all there. So placements ideally should not be a problem. So if you're looking at older MBA programs like ISB, IIMs, etc., yes, Scalar is not there yet, but definitely has the potential. However, if you're looking at new age MBA programs, baby IIMs and other institutes that take CAT, GMAT and other tests in India, definitely give Scalar a try. The applications are open. The application link is in the comments box. And absolutely, if you have any questions, do reach out to us or the admissions team at Scalar. They'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So this was my day at Scalar. Hopefully you loved it. Hopefully you gained from it. For more such videos, subscribe to the Strategy for GMAT channel and of course click the bell icon next time when we go live for any such video. Thank you.